Welcome back for another deep dive. And this time, we are going to be taking a look at the concept of beauty.
Oh, wow.
We all think about it, right?
Yeah.
But where do those standards come from?
Right?
And how have they evolved? And why is it so important to question all of them?
Absolutely.
So today we're using an excerpt from Live Authentic, Breaking the Beauty Myths.
Okay.
To kind of dig into all of this.
Yeah.
So,
It's interesting, because the idea that beauty is subjective is pretty common.
Mm-hmm.
But have you ever really noticed how no matter what the time period is, there's always this dominant look that people seem to be going after?
Yeah. It's like we all know that these standards are constantly in flux and changing all the time.
Yeah.
Yet we still get caught up in whatever the current ideal is.
Right.
And our source even points out how beauty standards has always been about exclusivity.
Totally. Like a club
Yeah.
with these entry requirements that constantly change.
It's like you can never get in.
Yeah.
Or maybe you can for a minute and then you're out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So think about it. Full-figured women were once symbols of wealth and fertility. You see them in all those Renaissance paintings.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the 1920s, the flapper ideal comes in,
Oh,
all slender, boyish figure.
Yeah.
Then you have Marilyn Monroe's super iconic hourglass figure. That was a shift towards more of a curvy ideal in the 50s.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating because even though the look changes so much, the underlying goal seems to be the same.
What is that?
It's to make beauty feel attainable to only a very select few.
Oh, it's less about a specific look
Yeah.
and more about that feeling of being in or out.
Yes.
Yeah. And the source uses the term pressure cooker. I think that really defines what it feels like today.
Especially with the rise of all this media.
Right.
And social media in particular.
Oh, yeah. Just forget about it.
Like filtered selfies.
Yeah.
These curated images. Bodies that are just sculpted with all these editing tools. Yep. It's just this constant barrage of perfection that can be so hard to get away from.
It's like the pressure to conform has been dialed up to 11.
Totally.
Do you ever find yourself just scrolling through Instagram and then you suddenly feel insecure?
Oh my God, all the time.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to not be affected by those images.
Totally.
And it makes me wonder, why do we even give all these beauty myths so much power over us?
Yeah.
Why do we let them kind of dictate our self-worth?
Yeah, the source argues that a big part of this problem is that we often internalize these messages without even realizing it.
Yeah.
And they actually give an example of Eliza, this young professional who just constantly felt inadequate no matter what she did or how much effort she put in. And then there's Liam, who was a fitness enthusiast and felt pressure to have this super defined physique.
Right.
Even though he was already incredibly fit.
Yeah, I think their stories are really relatable.
Totally.
It's not about individuals just being vain or too sensitive. It's about these standards that are impossible and how they can just really negatively affect our self-esteem.
And Live Authentic, this book that we're referencing, actually encourages us to kind of challenge these standards and redefine beauty for ourselves.
Yes.
So instead of trying to strive for this one narrow ideal, it emphasizes finding beauty in the things that make us unique.
I love that.
In fact, the source even goes so far as to reframe things like wrinkles and stretch marks and scars as signs of a life well lived, growth, and resilience.
That's such a powerful shift in perspective.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Like instead of seeing these as flaws, they're actually reminders of our strength and our individuality. I love how the source challenges us to think about beauty in a completely different way.
Yeah.
Instead of seeing imperfections, we can see the beauty in the things that actually make us us.
Exactly.
But let's be real. That's easier said than done.
Totally.
We're constantly bombarded with these messages that are telling us otherwise.
Right.
So how do we actually challenge those beliefs?
Yeah.
Especially when the beauty industry really profits off of our insecurities.
Yeah. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry built on that idea that we're not good enough.
Right.
You're right. It's a big hurdle to overcome.
Yeah, it can feel overwhelming for sure.
It can.
Where do we even begin to kind of push back against these ideas?
Well, the first step, with anything, is awareness. We have to start noticing how those beauty standards make us feel.
Right.
So, next time you're flipping through a magazine or you're scrolling through social media, just pause for a second. How did those images actually make you feel about yourself?
Right. Am I feeling envious? Am I feeling insecure?
Yeah.
Do I feel like I need to buy something to fix myself?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And once you're aware of those reactions, you can start to challenge them a little bit. Like, ask yourself, where did this belief come from?
Right.
Is this even true?
Yeah.
And does it actually, like, serve me in any way?
And the source also suggests we kind of try to reframe our thinking.
Yeah.
So instead of fixating on what we see as flaws, maybe try to view them as unique features.
Okay.
Part of what makes it interesting.
You know, think about it.
Okay.
Have you ever met someone who's, like, conventionally attractive, but their personality is just kind of... Yeah. And then you meet someone else who maybe doesn't fit those conventional standards.
Right.
But they have this, like, amazing energy. Yeah. They're warm. They're intelligent. And suddenly they're the most beautiful person in the room.
That's such a great point.
Right.
It really does highlight how true beauty goes so far beyond just what we see on the surface.
I think so.
It's about the energy that we bring into the world. It's about how we connect with other people.
Yeah.
The values that we have.
Yeah. It's about being authentically ourselves.
Yeah.
Quirks and all.
But stepping back for a second.
Okay.
The source mentions that beauty standards haven't always been driven by the media.
Right.
So what did shape these ideals in the past?
Well, before mass media, beauty standards were often tied to things like social status, economic power.
Oh, okay.
For example, in many cultures, pale skin signified a life of leisure.
Right.
Wealth.
You did have to work outside.
Right. Whereas a tan implied that you had to work outdoors.
Oh, interesting.
So it's a reminder that beauty standards are often a reflection of the power structures and values of a particular time and place.
So almost like they were never really about beauty in the first place.
Yeah.
It was more about fitting into whatever that ideal was at the time.
Right. And those ideals were often used to reinforce social hierarchies.
Okay.
You know, like take corsets, for example, popular for centuries in Western culture. But they were also a way to restrict women's movement.
Oh, wow.
Control their bodies.
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, it's a reminder that we need to be critical of these standards.
Yeah.
Ask ourselves who benefits from this ideal.
Right.
And who is being excluded or marginalized.
That's such an important question to ask.
Yeah.
Especially now when we have access to so much more information.
Right.
And different perspectives than ever before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have the power to choose which messages we're going to internalize.
Right.
And which ones we reject.
So how do we go about retraining our brains to see beauty in this more expansive way?
One powerful technique is to actively seek out diverse representations of beauty.
Right.
So instead of just passively consuming whatever images the media is throwing at us, let's be intentional about what we choose to see.
Okay.
So, you know, let's follow body-positive influencers.
Right.
Celebrate artists and creators who are challenging those narrow beauty standards. Expose ourselves to a wider range of body types, skin tones, abilities, and ages.
So it's about curating our own feeds in a way.
Totally.
Yeah.
Making sure those images and messages we're seeing reflect that broader definition of beauty.
Think about the people in your own life that you find beautiful. I'm willing to bet their beauty goes way beyond just physical appearance.
I think so, too.
Yeah. I'm thinking about some of my closest friends.
Yeah.
They're funny. They're compassionate. They're creative.
Yeah.
And it's that inner beauty that's so magnetic.
And that's the kind of beauty we can all cultivate.
Right.
It's not about our genetics or how much we spend on skincare. It's about developing our character, our sense of self.
This whole conversation has been so eye-opening.
It has.
It's made me realize how much I've internalized these beauty myths without even realizing it.
It's so easy to do.
Yeah.
Especially in a world that profits from our insecurities.
Right. The message is always, you're not good enough, but this product or this procedure will fix you.
Right. But what if the real fix is simply changing our perspective?
What if the most radical act is choosing to accept and love ourselves exactly as we are?
That's an amazing thought.
Right.
It's like we have the power to break free from this whole system.
Yeah.
Like we don't have to play their game anymore.
And as you embark on this journey of self-discovery, remember that you're not alone.
Yeah.
There's a whole movement of people who are rejecting those outdated beauty norms.
Yeah.
And creating a new paradigm, one that celebrates diversity, inclusivity, and authentic self-expression.
Yeah. It feels like we're really at a turning point, you know? People are starting to say enough is enough.
Right.
Like we're not buying into this anymore.
It's about recognizing that beauty exists in so many different forms.
Right.
You know, it's not just about physical appearance.
Yeah.
It's about the way someone moves through the world. It's about their passions, their kindness, their resilience.
Oh my gosh, it's like we've been focused on all the wrong things.
Right.
We've been chasing this external ideal.
When really it was inside us all along.
And when we start to shift that focus from achieving beauty to cultivating a sense of self-worth, that goes beyond our appearance.
Yeah.
That's when we really start to glow from within.
I know we've talked a lot about how the beauty industry really kind of preys on our insecurities.
Yeah.
Is there a way to engage with it more consciously, or should we just opt out?
I think it's about being a conscious consumer.
Okay.
You know, like ask yourself, is this product or this service making me feel empowered? Or is it just feeding into those same old insecurities?
So maybe instead of buying that anti-aging cream that promises to get rid of wrinkles,
right,
we could invest in experiences that actually make us feel alive.
Exactly. Or maybe instead of trying to hide our flaws, we find ways to celebrate them.
Because like the more we change our own point of view, the more we demand better from the world around us.
Absolutely. And those demands lead to change. I mean, we're already seeing it with the rise of body positivity.
Yeah.
The push for more diversity in the media, advertising. It's a reminder that our voices do matter.
Right.
We really have the power to create a more beautiful world.
This whole deep dive has really challenged me to rethink my relationship with beauty.
Yeah.
I realize now I've spent so much time trying to fit in, you know, to this mold that was never made for me.
Right.
It's time to just break free.
Yeah.
And embrace my own unique beauty.
And remember, this is a journey.
Okay.
It's not like a destination. You know, there are days when you're going to feel amazing and confident.
Right.
And then there are days when those old insecurities are going to pop back up.
Totally.
The key is to keep practicing self-love.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with people who support you.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into beauty myths, I want to leave everyone with a final thought.
Okay.
What if, instead of trying to blend in, we all focused on standing out?
I love that.
What if instead of trying to conform, we celebrate what makes us different?
Yes.
And what if instead of chasing some impossible ideal, we embrace the beauty of being perfectly imperfect?
Because that's where true beauty lies.
Yeah.
In our individuality, in our authenticity, in our willingness to show up as ourselves.
Yes.
Without apology.
I love that.
So go out there and be your own kind of beautiful.
That's fantastic.
The world's waiting for you.
Give it up for our amazing host of the Mirror Talk podcast.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Mirror Talk, where we continue to challenge norms, celebrate individuality, and redefine beauty on our own terms. This episode was proudly brought to you by True Touch Collections, home to a fine line of personal care brands designed to help you feel your best every day. Explore the luxurious sense of nectar of soul, the nourishing touch of trueness, and the bold confidence of Trueness Titan, all crafted with care to empower your personal journey. You can find our products at Aspire TV, Shein, and Walmart.com. Until next time, remember, the real reflection of beauty lies within. Stay true, stay confident, and keep the conversation alive. See you next time on Mirror Talk.
Gentlemen, it's time to upgrade your grooming game with Nectar of Soul's premium 2-in-1 hair and body wash. Choose Bay Rum, a bold, invigorating blend of spicy bay and subtle sweetness. Perfect for that crisp, refreshing start to your day. Or go for Tobacco Vanilla, a warm, luxurious fusion of smooth tobacco and rich vanilla. Ideal for making a lasting impression. Designed to cleanse both hair and body, our 2-in-1 formula saves you time while delivering unbeatable freshness and nourishment. Step out of the shower feeling revitalized, confident, and ready to take on anything. Nectar of Soul, crafted for men who demand more. Men, find your fresh.